Hello, this is Sarah Tuberty, your host from Disarming Disability. Enjoy the following program on Public House Media.
Hello, my name's Kim Meyer, host of Choose to Rise. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. And when you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Choose to Rise, where I talk all about finding your inner strength, improving confidence, and loving who God made you to be. I bring tips and strategies and things that have helped me rise up to be my current best self, and hope that you can do the same. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can find my show on Apple Podcasts, publichousemedia.org, and chooseriseup.com. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming shows. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Hello, everyone. It's No Filter Friday on Public House Media, and I'm sitting here having a LaCroix. Freshly earthquaked. Like literally, I don't know, 5 minutes before I'm supposed to go live and do the show, my house starts shaking because we're having yet another earthquake around here. I didn't feel the first couple ones, but this one was gnarly, kids. This one was gnarly. They said it was a 7.1 in the center. So we went up almost a full point from yesterday's quakes. And because I live on the hill, it is bedrock, so normally we don't feel anything, and if we do, it's like a quick like a jolt. This one had some length on it. It was rolling. And it rattled the windows, which is a new thing. Share to a page. See if that works. I need to figure out how to do. Okay, nope. Try again. Share. Hit share. Share the broadcast. Come on now. Nope, that's not what I want. That's not even kind of what I want. It's hard enough to try to get things together. Regardless of trying to get this in. David Bobke, are you in here? Does it sound okay? Because I have this mic like stuffed down in my romper, and I'm not sure if it's like really getting it together. And the internet connection's probably spotty, because with this little earthquake situation, usually when a quake happens, like your cell phone and stuff doesn't really work. Not physically to do with the quake, but because everybody gets on their phone immediately or during, it like overloads the system. So a lot of times you can't get can't get decent service, or in some cases no service at all, which sucks. Okay, I'm going to try to share. Oh, it sounds good. David Bobby says, your audience was clamoring after this morning's pod for more. Oh, were they? Were they clamoring? I certainly hope so. Oh, yeah, so we should talk about that. So I put well, I mean, I didn't physically put it out. David Bobke did. I put out a bonus episode this morning with Candy Washington, and we talked about setting boundaries and self-care and like all it like, and then some on top of it. It was kind of a long episode, but so that's a bonus episode that came out this morning. And now we're going to talk about everybody else that's in the news because we need to, because last week that episode was pre-taped, and on top of it, there was supposed to be a video for the podcast that I did with Dr. Nicoletta, but we couldn't get the video file was too big. We couldn't get it to work in time. to do the broadcast, so we just did the podcast version. But it was an important episode nonetheless because it was about how to find a therapist, which piggybacked on the 2 episodes that I did with Jesse Pridemore. So, did the 2 episodes of Jesse Pridemore, did those live. And then, well, it was 1 episode live, and then it got cut into 2 for the podcast. And then from that, had Dr. Nicoletta come in and for a podcast episode and talk about how to find a therapist. And then this morning, I put out the episode with Candy Washington that's about like self-care and boundaries and blah, 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 and just some other funny stuff to piggyback off of that. And now, after all of that podcasting, because I haven't been just doing this one too, I've been guesting on other people's as well. Like I did Movie Menu, and I did Kate Quigley's show, and we did that one live at the Ice House in Pasadena. And then I feel like there's somebody else in there too. I did another show as well. Oh, and Dave Bullis. I did the Dave Bullis podcast as well. So I've been like podcasting like it's my job lately, basically. Which is fine, whatever. So I feel like I've been doing all of that podcasting and I'm finally sitting here doing like a regular episode like we normally do. So what had happened was this week some interesting things happened. So I posted this article earlier, but we're going to talk about it now because we can. On July 1st, so earlier this week, from the Freegan Scott LLC, a statement by Elizabeth A. Freegan, lead attorney on the class action proceedings against Harvey Weinstein. This came out this week on the 1st. There it is. The ruling by U.S. District Judge Hellerstein is a thundering application of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. By denying Harvey Weinstein's appeal today, the court is sharpening the application of this important law. Historically, people and even the courts have held the belief that sex trafficking dealt with bringing women over from poor countries and confiscating their passports, or effectively enslaving runaways. Side note, that's not an accurate belief because 87% of the people that are sex trafficked with the United States are actually Americans. To continue, what the judge in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York has ruled is that the definition of sex trafficking is much broader. Sex trafficking includes offering monetary enticement and using the power and influence to deceive women into sex acts. It should be to deceive anyone into sex acts because not just women are affected by sex trafficking. Moving on. Specifically, the court said that if Harvey Weinstein promised women roles in the movies to dupe them into having sex, he met the definition of a sex trafficker. I'm very pleased that the Southern District of New York is steadfast in getting the law to catch up to the times. And this application of the TVPA will be a potent weapon in holding Harvey Weinstein and his ilk accountable. So, nice little class action situation there. And they didn't call just Harvey to the carpet. They called everybody to the carpet. And that is absolutely 100% necessary. But that is the thing here, is that this is ramping up for him. So they denied his appeal. So he can't go to an appellate judge. He has to stay with the situation that he's already operating under in New York. And once New York is finished with him, California's going to have their way with him as well. So that's kind of an interesting thing that happened. But it's a good thing that they're expanding this like definition or capacity for like sex trafficking. Because that is a thing that people think is like, oh, sex trafficking is when people bring in, people from other countries and they take their passports and they shove them in houses and then sell them over and over and over again, which does happen, and it happens a lot. Let's not make any bones about that. However, the majority of people that are sex trafficked in the United States, i.e. 87% of them, are in fact Americans. Which is a thing that you should look out for, especially like if you have younger kids or like anybody looking looking for income, those like signs that you see posted up around places like looking for a babysitter, cash paid, call this number, blah, 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 blah. More often than not, those are sex trafficking rings trying to procure whoever they can, which kind of goes to the old adage of like, if it sounds too good to be true, if somebody's like, yeah, I'm going to pay you $1,200 a week to watch my kids. It's probably not a thing. But, and when you talk to people about, when I say people, I mean like law enforcement or the judicial system, about human trafficking or sex trafficking, that kind of, they're not the same thing, but they kind of go hand in hand. It's like one of the first questions that the police will ask is, did they take your passport? Did they take your ID? Were you free to come and go from the house or the office or the place of business or whatever? And that's a big factor. Did you have keys? Was there surveillance? All of those questions are really key determining factors in that, how law enforcement and the judicial system considers a situation to be human trafficking or human/sex trafficking or not, as those things. So it's good that the state of New York is broadening their definition and their capacity in the law, because it's definitely needed. So I think with that being said, though, I think considering they denied his appeal, I think sounds like they're going to be throwing the book at him. How very interesting. So we'll, I mean, you know, No Filter Friday is like AKA the Harvey Weinstein show. So not only is Harvey's case ramping up criminally, as of a few hours ago, it's been released that the man who accuses Kevin Spacey of groping him dropped his civil lawsuit against the actor. So that person is no longer pursuing him civilly, but the state is still pursuing it criminally. Okay, so here's CNN's article. The man who, there's Kevin Spacey there. A civil lawsuit brought by the young man who has accused actor Kevin Spacey of sexual assault has been dropped just over a week after it was filed, according to new court filing. Spacey's accuser, who was an 18-year-old busboy at a Nantucket bar at the time of the alleged assault, filed the civil complaint on June 26th. In it, the accuser said that Spacey brought him multiple alcoholic beverages before he then forcibly touched and fondled his genitals. Then, the same allegations he made in an ongoing criminal case. The accuser's attorney, Mitchell Garabedian, told CNN via email Friday that he and his client voluntarily dropped the lawsuit and that he would have no further comment. Spacey, 59, faces criminal charges of the incident, assault and battery, in connection with the same alleged July 2016 incident. It's been going on for 2 years now. The former House of Cards star has pleaded not guilty, as they all do. I'm sure he used the word uncategorically in there somewhere, because that's, you know, it's like there's like a checklist of like vocab to use in these denial statements. The civil lawsuit accused Spacey of explicit sexual behavior and infliction of mental distress. It demanded judgment in an amount to be determined by a jury, including cost, attorneys, interest, and attorney's fees. Court documents detail text messages between Kevin Spacey's accuser and his girlfriend. CNN has reached out to Spacey's attorney for comment. CNN is not naming the accuser because he is an alleged victim of sexual assault. Not a surprise there. They usually shut that situation down. The criminal case against Spacey will continue with a hearing scheduled for Monday. The case is focused recently on the accuser's phone. Defense attorneys were provided a CD containing files from a CD, really? It's 2019. Containing files from it, but said it was insufficient. The judge ordered the phone turned over. Ooh, the judge wants a whole phone. Ooh. So Spacey's defense team could examine it. His lawyers have said evidence that could exonerate Spacey was deleted from the phone, but the accuser, his mother, and their attorney last month said they could not find phone. They could not find the phone. Are we leaving out words now, CNN? And among other things. And Garabedian said that they were working to procure backups. The judge has given them until Monday to produce the phone. If they don't, they must appear in court to testify about its whereabouts. Ooh, this is messy. Messy, messy, messy. Well, this is the latest as of 1 o'clock today. So we'll see what happens to the Kevin Spacey that went to the bar in Nantucket. But that's the thing, though. Just because he dropped the civil charges, the civil suit, doesn't mean that the state won't pursue the criminal side of it. Because once a state decides to pick up a case, like once the prosecution wants to run with it, it can't be undone. You can't be just oh, just kidding, never mind. You might be able to not participate, and then they'll consider insufficient evidence or whatever. But once a state picks up a case, it can't be undone. The state will pursue it until they feel like not pursuing it anymore. So Kevin Spacey's going to be in and out of court for this, and who knows? Who knows how it's going to go? I mean, I feel like it's going to keep going, especially it seems like that judge and that prosecutor from Nantucket are pretty serious about this. Especially if they decided that they want the entire phone as that evidence, and now it can't. Oh, we don't know where it is. We can't find it. Are we supposed to believe that? For real? For real, for real? Although I do think it's definitely suspect and definitely suspicious that he filed the civil suit, dropped the civil suit, and now they can't seem to recall where that phone with the evidence is on it. Interesting. Absolutely interesting. I wonder if there'll be another follow-up to Kevin Spacey's little short film that he made last time of, you didn't actually see the phone, did you? Oh my God, what a wild case. A bunch of nonsense. I mean, not the overall, not the merit of the case itself, but just the absolute disarray of the evidence and the charges being filed, charges being dropped. Harvey's case, setting appeals getting declined. Ugh. Oh, hashtag me too. What a wild, epic ride this is going to be. Speaking of wild and epic rides, and earthquakes, because that was definitely a wild, epic ride. As it turns out, we are approaching the 100th episode of No Filter Friday, if you can believe it. I think we're at episode 80 something now? Hang on, let's look into this. Because it's I worked it out mathematically before I started doing all these guest episodes, and it looked like the 100th episode was going to fall somewhere around Giving Tuesday, around Thanksgiving. But now, since I've done some doubles and a bonus episode and all of that stuff, we're getting closer faster, and I have more guests coming. I have an agent that's going to be a guest next week or the week after. That's when I'm interviewing her. When that episode is going to come out, that will be afterwards, because that'll be a pre-taped episode. And I have some other people joining the No Filter Friday craziness, basically. So it's gonna, why is my episode tracker not up? Come on. I know we're in the 80s, basically. It's like episode, I think we're at like episode 82 or something like that. So that means that our 100th episode of us together as a group is going to be coming even faster than we thought it was going to be. So there's going to be a big brouhaha for number 100. It's going to like the 50th brouhaha, the 50th episode brouhaha in Austin was pretty effing epic. And the 100th is going to, we got to double that at least to knock that out of the park. So it's going to be wild, folks. It's going to be crazy. So definitely check out the bonus episode that came out this morning with Candy Washington, because it's a far more fun episode than most episodes are. And it's informative, and it's the first bonus episode I've ever done. I've been meaning to do bonus episodes for like, I don't know, 6 months now, but it just so happened to fall around the time to do a crossover episode with Candy Washington, who is an author and a blogger. And speaking of crossover episodes and authors and bloggers, I've been talking to a wonderful, amazing, fabulous friend, Allie Levine, stylist, about doing a crossover episode for both of our shows. So that's definitely still on the menu too. So between Allie and then the agent that I have coming, it's a lady agent too, by the way. I have her coming up. So it's going to be super, super guesty in here. And some of them I think will end up being bonus episodes depending on what the news cycle is like. And then the other ones will just be regular weekly No Filter Friday episodes, basically. So that is the current tea, although truncated by this earthquake situation. And hopefully we don't have any more earthquakes, because that was plenty quake for all of us here. The people near the epicenter are still dealing with the damage from yesterday. So it's going to be rough. And out here, outside this window, there are a bunch of emergency vehicles screaming up and down the highway. So our audio is not stepped on any further. I'm going to leave it there. So check out the bonus episode from this morning. Check out other shows on Public House Media like Crowned and Dangerous and Confessions of a Military Spouse and Your Soccer Passport, all those fun shows, and leave a comment or a rating on anywhere that you get your podcast, and share the show. If you're a live viewer, share the show so other people can come spill this tea too. And I will see you all next week for some other craziness, because we all know it's never a dull moment around here. So have a lovely evening. Bye, 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 bye. Bye, bye.